What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video on the Field Sneak YouTube channel, and in today's video I'll be going through my AFL 2023 round 24 tips and predictions, and obviously as well as that, like we always do, I'm going to be going back over my round 23 tips from last week and seeing how I went. If you guys go on to enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like, share and subscribe. It'll be very much appreciated. I'm on the road to 500 subs and I'm trying to get there as soon as possible. I think I did just pass 450 the other day, so thank you so much for that. But anyways guys, without any further ado, let's get straight on reviewing my round 23 tips from last week. So like we always do, ladies and gentlemen, before we get into this week's tips for round number 24, we are going to be quickly having a look back on how I did in round number 23 last week. So looking back on my round 23 tips from last week, I got a score of 6 out of 9 for round number 23. Look, I've said this for a little while now, 6 out of 9. It's pretty much been my my average score, I'd say. That's probably been my most common score as well, 6 out of 9. I don't know what it is. I think I've gotten that score now for at least, the third or fourth time this year. So we will quickly have a look back on the round 23 matches from last week. It started off on the Friday night. It was between Collingwood and Brisbane. I did tip Collingwood here to get the job done here over the Lions by 10 points. And unfortunately, for my sake, the Lions did a bit of a number on the Pies on Friday night and got up by 24 points. Moving down now to the MCG for the first of the Saturday matches, I tipped Richmond to beat North Melbourne. No problems here. Richmond were looking pretty comfortable for a majority of the match. I think there was a stage where North Melbourne got within about 5 points, which is pretty nerve-wracking for a Tigers fan myself. But nonetheless, we were able to send off two of our all-time greats, to be honest, in Trent Cotchin and Jack Rewalt, who have been tremendous servants for this footy club. I can't thank those guys enough for what they've done to my own team as a Tigers fan. Moving down now to Metricon Stadium, and wow, this is probably the scare of the round. We had Gold Coast taking on Carlton at Metricon Stadium. Geez, Gold Coast, for the first 2 quarters, they actually looked pretty bloody good, if I'm going to be honest. But obviously in that second half, the Blues were able to turn it round and end up holding on to get the victory that probably locks them in now for finals. Moving down now to Giants Stadium, and I tipped the Giants to beat the Bombers. I thought the Giants would win. I didn't think they'd win by this much. I tell you what, 126 points. I think that's probably the Giants' biggest ever win as a club. Like in their whole history, GWS, that is probably their biggest win they've had in their histories. Moving down now to Marvel Stadium, and I tipped the Saints to beat the Cats. At the time last week, this was probably considered by some as quite a big call, and I think a lot of people were just, once again, just expecting Geelong to, rock up and just get the victory like they normally do. But for some reason, and I don't know why, and I don't know how, but St Kilda managed to get up and end Geelong's season officially. Moving down now to the Adelaide Oval, and I think this is probably the game where everyone's talking about. It's probably the talking point of the entire round, to be honest. Look, in my opinion, that was 100% a goal, and that was 100% the wrong decision, and that probably should have been paid a goal. I think the Swans were leading by 44 points at one stage in the first half, I think. So it's pretty hard to say, the Swans probably didn't deserve the victory, considering they completely bullied and took the piss out of the Crows, for about a half a footy. Moving down now to Marvel Stadium, I could not believe my eyes. I don't think even some of you guys would probably be able to believe this, but West Coast somehow managed to beat the Bulldogs at Marvel Stadium. Moving down now to the MCG, and I tipped Melbourne to beat Hawthorn. No problems here. The D's, they were pretty okay, I guess. They were pretty solid. They very rarely let in more than 60 points a game. The D's, they're actually that good defensively. It's ridiculous. And moving down now to the final game on the Sunday for round number 23, I tipped Port Adelaide here to get up over the Dockers at Optus Stadium. At one point, it actually did look like the Dockers could run over Port Adelaide in this game. But I thought Port Adelaide, their maturity was really good in this game, and they really didn't let Freo, get on top of them at all. But there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Those were my round 23 tips from last week. Like I said, 6 out of 9, pretty solid score there. Those were my round 23 tips from last week. Now let's move on to my round 24 tips for this week. Alrighty, so here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Round number 24, the final round of the home and away season. Yes, I can't believe it. We've reached the end of the home and away season. We're very, very close now for some finals footy action. But the first game we've got on the Friday night, it is a bit of a dead rubber, to be honest. It's between Essendon and Collingwood on the Friday night at 7:50 at the MCG. I'll start off with Essendon. Look, to be honest, there's really no way to, sugarcoat it. It was just a shit performance, to be honest, from Essendon. It was just completely shithouse. They were just completely blown off the park. Essendon by a GWS side who aren't really that much higher on the ladder when you look at it. The Giants are sitting 8th and the Bombers are sitting 10th. So to get blown out by 126 points by a side who's only 2 ranks better than you is quite embarrassing and deflating, to be honest. Whereas Collingwood, look, disappointing, but I don't think Collingwood should be worried. Yes, I know they're not in the best form at the minute, Collingwood. And coming into this game, I think Collingwood, they should be feeling, pretty confident, despite their injuries. I mean, Essendon, they're probably in, some of the worst form we've seen since about end of last year when they got absolutely blown off the park by Port Adelaide, I think it was. I know Collingwood aren't playing great as well, but I think Collingwood, they've got a lot more on the line now. Essendon are pretty much done, so I think Collingwood will want to come out here and win this game. I am going to be tipping Collingwood here to get up over the Bombers on Friday night. I'm going to be going the safe option here. Collingwood, they're the better side. They should be winning this game. And I think I am going to be tipping Collingwood here to win this game here over the Bombers by, let's go, 22 points. Moving down now to the Saturday matches, we have got Hawthorn taking on Fremantle at 1:45 at the MCG. Now, Hawthorn, like I said, nothing to be, disheartened by. I thought they were pretty gallant for 3 quarters against the Ds. But ultimately, when it's all said and done, the Ds are just the better side on the day. But I didn't think Hawthorn were disgraced. Whereas Freo, same can be said for them. They ultimately just got beaten by a better side, ultimately in Port Adelaide. Look, this game's really a 50-50, to be honest. It's also, kind of a dead rubber, considering both these sides won't be featured in September action this year. So I think it's almost, who's got more to play for. And to be honest, I think if Hawthorn bring their best footy, I don't think Freo will be able to handle it. So to be honest, I think I'm going to be jumping on Hawthorn again here in this game. I know it's kind of, going with the favourite here, considering 71% have tipped Hawthorn and 29% have tipped Freo. But to be honest, this is kind of a 50-50, to be honest. It really just depends on who you think is really the better side. I think I'm going to be tipping Hawthorn again. I can't believe it. I didn't think I'd be tipping Hawthorn, 2 out of the last 4 weeks of the season. But yeah, I just think Hawthorn, they'll have enough momentum here. I think it'll be a good game, but I think Hawthorn will be just a little bit too strong here for the Dockers and win by 5 points in a bit of a thriller. Moving down now to Bluntstone Arena, and we have got North Melbourne taking on Gold Coast at 1:45 as well on the Saturday afternoon. Now, I'm going to be honest, this is one of the games this week that I could see an upset happening. I reckon North Melbourne are a chance just because it's at Bluntstone, and history suggests that North Melbourne play very good footy down in Tassie. You know what? It's the last round of the year. There's nothing to lose. I can't win my own tipping comp or any of the other comps I'm in. So you know what? I'm going to go for an upset here. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to be tipping North Melbourne. I'm going to be tipping North Melbourne here to get up over Gold Coast. I know that sounds bold, but it's the last round of the year. If you're down, in some of your tipping comps, like I am, you really can't win any of the tipping comps. So, you know what? Last round of the year, Let's go and upset. Let's go North Melbourne to get up over Gold Coast. I'm not sure if this will come off or not. I think this might actually be the first time this year that I've tipped North Melbourne. I have to double check that, but I think this is probably one of the only times I've tipped North Melbourne this whole season. So you know what? We're going to go for it. Moving down now to the Gabba, we have got the Lions taking on the Saints at 4:35 p.m. on the Saturday afternoon. Now the Lions really staking their claim last week against a quality opposition in the Pies, who, albeit, you know, like we've said, had some injuries and had some injury luck, like I said, not go their way as of recent times. Whereas St Kilda speak about taking their opportunities towards the end of this year. The Saints, they've pulled off some big results for their season the last couple of weeks. They obviously beat Richmond, a couple of weeks ago now, to, really give them a shot of making the finals this year. And then obviously last week, the cherry on top of the cake last week for the Saints fans, knocking off Geelong, who, last week was sort of around their level in terms of the ladder position. So to be honest, the only thing that really matters in this game is, where these two sides will finish at the end of the round and at the end of the season. But I've said it for a while now, because it's at the Gabba, I am going to be tipping Brisbane here to get up over the Saints. In all honesty, I could see the Saints winning, but I just think at the Gabba, the Lions, they're completely unstoppable at that ground and win the game by 19 points to secure themselves a top 2 spot. Moving down now to GMHBA Stadium, and this is possibly the biggest game of the round with potentially the most meaning on the line, at least for one of these sides. We've got Geelong taking on the Bulldogs at 7:25 at GMHBA Stadium on the Saturday night. Now, Geelong, I think it's safe to say now that they will not be playing finals in season 2023. To be honest, that's a sentence I never thought I'd say, to be honest, because the Cats, as we know, they've been the most consistent side of pretty much the last 15 odd years. Whereas the Bulldogs, it's all to play for in this game. It is all to play for. If the Bulldogs want a shot at making the finals this season, they have to win. They have to win this game, the Bulldogs. It's an absolute do or die for the Dogs season. But I heard a rumour that Hawkins and Cameron will be out for this game. I'm not sure if that's completely true or not. At the time I'm recording this, the lineups haven't come out yet, so I don't really know. But I'm going to go on the case that both Hawkins and Cameron are missing for this game. That's just what I'm going to go off. So, believe it or not, that actually makes me lean towards the Bulldogs, because Geelong, having their 2 best forwards out for this game, and considering it is really like a dead rubber for Geelong, considering they aren't going to be making finals. So, you know what? I don't think Geelong will actually try. I just think Geelong will be too good here, but it'll be very, very close. So, I am going to be tipping Geelong here to win this one, but wouldn't be shocked if the Bulldogs pulled off a result here. Even if, Cameron and Hawkins are playing, I wouldn't be shocked if the Dogs pull off a result here. It'll be a close one, that's for sure, but I reckon Geelong will get up and win this one here by 9 points. Moving down now to Optus Stadium, and we have got West Coast taking on Adelaide. I'll start off with West Coast, and to be honest, I think they deserve a round of applause. The Eagles last week, that was probably their best win all season by an absolute mile. I thought about tipping West Coast personally. I could have seen them winning. So I'm actually not that shocked that they actually did beat the Bulldogs. Whereas Adelaide, I feel for you. I feel for you, Crows fans, because can this season get any more unlucky for Adelaide? A wrong umpire decision has costed Adelaide their season. And to be honest, I agree, that probably should have been a goal. I don't know how it wasn't reviewed at least. But in saying that, you'd think surely Adelaide are too good here for West Coast. I know it is at Optus, but last time these two played, Adelaide won by 120 points. So, while I don't think it'll be that margin again, I think Adelaide have just got to get the job done here. I think they'll be angry. I know they can't make the finals from here, Adelaide, but after last week, surely they've got to come out here, the Crows, and really make a statement. I'm going to tip Adelaide here to get the job done here over West Coast. I just think they're the stronger side, and after last week, they'll be pretty ticked off, Adelaide, I think. So I think they'll want to come out and win this game pretty comfortably. I'm going to say Adelaide get the job done here over West Coast by 52 points. Moving down now to the Sunday matches, and it all starts off at the Adelaide Oval between Port Adelaide and Richmond at 12:30 on the Sunday afternoon. Now, I am a bit surprised this game is that early, 12:30. I think that would actually be 12 o'clock Adelaide time, so that's very, very early for a game to be played on a Sunday. But anyways, Port Adelaide last week, like I said, it was a pretty mature performance from them. You know, they didn't really get ahead of themselves. They just did what they needed to do against a pretty gallant Freo outfit at Optus Stadium last week. Whereas Richmond, you know, they sent off their heroes in style last week, you know, getting a pretty nice victory there over North Melbourne. I thought North were actually really competitive, though, for majority of this game. Look, I know it's at Adelaide Oval, and I know Port Adelaide are the better side, but for some reason, I just get this feeling that Richmond won't win, but will be competitive enough to make it a good game. I don't think this will actually be a smashing. So, like I said, you know, it's the last round of the season. You know, there's really nothing to lose if you're, you know, down the bottom of the comps like I am. I'm actually going to be tipping Richmond here to get the job done. Very, very biased, I know. You know, come at me. You know, I'm a biased supporter. All this, all that. But you know what? I'm going to go for an upset here. I'm going to tip Richmond to beat Port Adelaide. Like I said, it's the last round of the season. You've got to go for a few upsets. So I'm going to be tipping Richmond here to get up over Port Adelaide by 6 points. Moving down now to the second last game of the round. We've got Sydney taking on Melbourne at the SCG at 3:20 on the Sunday afternoon. Now, this is probably going to be, I'd say, probably the game of the round. The Swans last week, you know, as we all know, you know, Sydney lucky to get away with the victory last week. They got away with absolute murder there last week, the Swans at Adelaide Oval. Whereas Melbourne, like I've said, they just do enough to win. Melbourne, they just do enough to win. It's not always the most convincing, but nonetheless, you know, towards the end of this season, all you have to do is, you know, just continue to bank the wins. To be honest, I'm kind of on the fence with this one. I really don't know who to go. The D's, from memory, don't play at the SCG too often, so I think this is actually quite an interesting little test here for the D's. They haven't really played at the SCG too often. In fact, the last time I think they played at the SCG, I think they lost to Collingwood. That was in 2021 when Collingwood finished 17th. I feel like Melbourne will win this game. I think it'll be a very close game. But I think I am going to be tipping the D's here to beat the Swans here at the SCG. I think I am going to go the D's here to get up over the Swans at the SCG. It'll be a very good game. I reckon Sydney will take it up to Melbourne all game. But I think the D's, they'll find a way to hang on here and win by 2 points. And the final game of round number 24 and season 2023, at least the home and away season that is, we've got Carlton taking on GWS at 6:10 on the Sunday evening at Marvel Stadium. Now the Blues, what can I say? They're on absolute fire at the minute, the Blues. They have caught fire, the Blues. They're not even red hot anymore, the Blues. They are white hot. They are going that well at the minute, the Blues. It's ridiculous. Where's GWS? Oh my God. 126-point win last week against the Bombers. Absolutely outstanding. To be honest, I didn't think they were at their absolute best, the Giants, in that game, but I think it was just helped by the fact that Essendon, like I said, it was quite an insipid and shit performance from them. Obviously, we all know the Blues are locked in finals, so they will be playing finals, so this result will not hurt them one bit. But for GWS, they almost have to win this to secure themselves a finals place. That is, if the Dogs do somehow beat the Cats at GMHBA Stadium, which I think is a chance, but albeit unlikely. I actually can't see Carlton losing this game. I can't see Carlton losing. They're just in that good a form, the Blues. I just can't see them dropping this game, especially at Marvel, where, you know, just like last year, they've proven to be an absolute force. So I think on that note, I think I am going to be tipping Carlton here. I just think they're going to be too strong here for the Giants. I hope this doesn't cost GWS a spot in the finals, because personally, I think the Giants 100% deserve to play finals this season. They've definitely been a top 8 quality side. It'll be a tight, tough arm wrestle, but I think the Blues, they'll be just a little bit too strong here for the Giants, and I think the Blues, they'll get up and win this one here at Marvel by 15 points to finish off the home and away season for season 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, those were my round 24 tips for the 2023 AFL season. Let's quickly go back over them. I've tipped the Blues to beat the Giants. I've tipped the D's to beat the Swans. I've tipped Richmond to beat Port Adelaide. I've tipped Adelaide to beat West Coast. I've tipped Geelong to beat the Bulldogs. I've tipped Brisbane to beat St Kilda. I've tipped North Melbourne to beat Gold Coast at Blundstone Arena as probably my, upset of the week, it's fair to say. I've tipped Hawthorn over Freo at the MCG, and I've tipped Collingwood over Essendon on the Friday night at the MCG as well by 22 points. So those were my round 24 tips, ladies and gentlemen. But before we go, as always, we are going to have one, final look on the Fearless Nick comp before the end of the season. So if you aren't aware already, the winner of my tipping comp at the end of this week will win a shout out from myself. But having a look now at the Fearless Nick comp after 23 rounds, once again we've got a new leader. We've got Shannon, who has climbed up into first. But like I said, we've got Shannon in first. We've got Marie T in second, who's just fallen one spot after being in first last week. We've got Ben P in third. We've got Max in fourth. And then we've got a little bit of daylight there. We've got Ned still in fifth. We've got Cooper L in sixth. I've actually moved up to seventh. I'm not sure how long that will last because I've got a couple of upsets. So I'm not really sure how long that lasts. Watch me, in a couple of weeks probably have plummeted, down to maybe like 9th or 10th. We've got Claudia in 8th. We've got Hugo still in 9th. We've got Darcy T in 10th. We've got Rick H in 11th. We've got Samuel D in 12th. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Louis. Louis off the bottom. Oh my God. Louis off the bottom. Louis off the bottom. Oh my God. Louis off the bottom. What? But like I said, we've got Louis in 13th and down the bottom now, who was originally up in 13th, I think. We've got Christian now in last. But there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Those were my round 24 tips for the 2023 AFL season. And this is my comp ladder after 23 rounds. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Those were my round 24 tips for the 2023 AFL season. Remember to comment down below your tips for this week down below in the comments. I'd really like to know your fellas' thoughts. Are you guys going a couple of upsets like I'm doing this week? I've promised a few times that I would go a couple of upsets in the coming rounds, and I've delivered on that promise. So hopefully a couple of upsets can come off for me in this one. Remember to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like I said, I'm on the road to 500 subs, and I'm trying to get there as soon as possible. So yeah, every like and every sub really helps the channel out a lot, and really means a lot. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you in my next video. Cheers!